spread the awareness that each city already currently holds. So I think that a lot of people think that the pioneers that like really started everything hold all of the information, but within each city there's a lot of history and culture inside of it. So I want to surface that, and I also want to surface all the talent that's in this space already, so that people can have a space to share. For freestylers to like fully express themselves without preconceived limitations that you have in a battle or in an audition and things like that. Because I know a lot of times in LA, freestyle at an audition turns into fuerte turns and backflips, and it's no longer any kind of expression, but like just what you've practiced the most in repetition. So something gets lost there, right? So I wanted to create that for the freestylers to be able to speak their voice, and then also for the people who were around for a while, I want them to be acknowledged. I want them to be able to share their stories, their history, the culture that they have, and for people to ask questions. I think that most of the lack of respect or maybe the improper usage of dance doesn't come from people knowingly doing the things that they do to the dance culture. It's mostly because they don't know that they don't know. So having this human interaction presences people to the fact that dance and people and emotions are not separate, and that all the history really lies inside of the people. All the creation of the movement was founded inside of the people. So that's why the event got started. So the fact that you guys are here is contagious. You guys will get all the information that you get tonight, and then you'll spread it, and then one day everybody here will be an elder and they'll have something to pass on too. So the more information that you know, the more information that you can pass on. So I really, really appreciate you guys being here. One, to absorb the information, but also to be the listening for people's expression. Because if you guys weren't here to watch what people had to say, then it'd be a pretty silly reason to have an event. So really, I'm grateful for you guys being here.
First battle you witnessed in Arizona. First battle you witnessed in Arizona.
Witnessed?
Yeah.
Arizona Floor Assassins versus Motor City.
What year?
I was 95 at a lowrider car show. Blew my mind. From then on, I just started b-boying.
Been on what?
I started b-boying from that.
How was the scene back in the days? The era?
I was just a toy back then, so you can ask House about it.
I was a toy back then too. The 90s breaking, the breaking scene specifically, because I think that's kind of what was the strongest at the time. It was, as far as I know, when I moved here in the 90s, as far as I know, that was like, the 90s was kind of like a resurgence of breaking here. There was already crews like Motor City here before the 90s. So for myself, it was like that resurgence. So it was a young scene. So everybody was really, really hungry. There was a lot of crews kind of. A lot of battles. It was really, really raw. And just because of that, where it was in that stage, because it was just that hunger and like where everybody battled all the time, and you just fiend to find another b-boy, another crew or whatnot. I mean, you would find out like, hey, there's some b-boys at Dairy Queen over there, and hey, let's go. And you just go and whatever happened. But it was a very hungry and young scene. It was everybody was trying to come up, and so that kind of, we pushed each other. I know, as far as Fierce Styles crew, we owe it to like all the other crews that were our rival crews or friends or not, including these guys, pushing each other. Where you knew if you're gonna run into it, I tell people the story all the time as far as like, you stayed ready all the time, because if you went to a spot, whether it was a club or it was a jam or whatever, there wasn't no questions like, hey, do you want to battle them? Like you were at the spot, somebody walked in, cool, and then you just threw down. There was no talking, whether you liked each other or not. You shook hands or didn't shake hands, and see you the next time. But you always stayed ready, so I wasn't going to go out, or I wasn't going to even go near Cypher unless I was ready to get down. And so for us, to me, that kept us really pushing, like you have to stay ready because you don't want to get smoked. So that's kind of my experience with it.
I'm going to take this. I actually want to say something before we even jump into more questions. Tonight's kind of cathartic for me because this is my last night in Arizona, and I'm moving to LA tomorrow to live with JoJo and be out of control out there. But I love the desert, and I love Arizona, and it made me the person that I am. I'm kind of like the bastard child of Arizona, and I've always been kind of out of control, but if any two people directly help father me in this scene, either immediately directly or indirectly, were these two guys right here. So this is a big deal for me to be up here. I feel very strongly about Arizona and the desert in this region, because I feel that nowadays not so many places are as regional as they used to be. You used to be able to go to a specific place and they would have that specific place's style. And Arizona style and everything that it did for me, whether it was Wewhum, whether it was houses very specific to this region, and that meant a lot to me growing up, whereas we don't have it as much now. And like I said, I feel really strongly about the desert. I feel like if you're weak, the desert will break you. It's a tough place, but if you're strong, it'll define you. And these two men defined me growing up. Wewhum directly defined who I was as a dancer and understanding music. He looked out for me. I was a little pipsqueak. I was like the little shitty kid that was always around being a butthead, trying to be like them, and they pushed me around. They taught me the tough lessons, but they also they taught me how to appreciate music. This dance on different levels, understanding what it is to dabble in different musics and learn different steps and move in different ways and express yourself. And Wewhum's he's a very stern man. he's a tough guy to break. He's a hard one to understand, and I feel like that spoke to me. And I grew up around him, and he really helped create who I was, and the way I love this dance was very specific to my experience growing up with him, and that was regional, that was here. I was raised in Arizona by people like this, and House very indirectly raised me very culturally in the sense where they really put it on me. I mean, they like put a lot of pressure on me dancing, and for a long time I just hated their guts. I did. I was just like, these guys are awful. I don't want to go to a battle because they're gonna be mean to me. They were mean though. You know what? That's what I love about House, and as I've gotten older, I realized that the biggest lesson he's taught me is that this is not for the parents, and this belongs to the youth, this belongs to the kids, this belongs to hip hop. We shouldn't be censored, we shouldn't be able to like go places and be here and not be able to say fuck this, fuck that, I'm sorry, this is hip hop, I'm not gonna censor myself for anybody. And he taught me to really have a lot of backbone about that, and I appreciated that. And like I said, growing up, they really put it on me with who I was, but like I said, if you know, the desert will define you if it doesn't break you, and he helped me define who I was as a person, because I wasn't trying to dance different, that's just how I danced. That's who I was, and I wasn't going to change because that's who I was as a person. I wasn't choosing trying to be different, I wasn't trying to dress a certain way, it's who I was. And I think it took a long time of, you know, really being pushed down on that to really define who I was as a person and my character. And I really just like straight up want to thank these guys for making me who I am today, and I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Now I know that you guys might not be able to answer this because this is more feeling based, but I have to ask it anyways. How do you connect with the music?
Actually, there's no words that can really describe it. It's just something that you know that's happening to you at that very moment. So like, I don't know how to like put it into words. It's just something that you feel or you don't.
I like to rock and roll, man. I don't know what it is. When I break, I feel like I want to rock and roll, and potentially I probably should have been a rock and roller. So when I break, I just like to bug out. It's very personal for me. Sometimes I'll love a song for a week and I don't want to hear it again. It's like exactly like Wewhum said, it's in the moment. It's how it provokes you in that moment. I don't want to dance to the same song for the rest of my life. I want to go through different phases of my life and be, you know, changed by music in that way. And that's kind of how I feel about it. What they said?
Yeah, I don't think I can give a much different answer other than I think subconsciously that's how I connect with the music, subconsciously. I mean, I'm not thinking about it. It's just the way it's gonna make you feel, whether it's due to an experience that I had when I heard that song, but it's that thing that it brings out of you. I mean, and it might be a song that you never even heard, or music that you've never heard, but it's definitely touching something inside of you that's making you bug out. So I think my answer would be like to say unconsciously without thinking about it. That's because if you think about it, then you're not really gonna connect with the music.
what is the history of Sour Patch Crew and the abstract style?
Back then, when we first started like creating new moves and stuff, our style I wasn't really one of the founders of that. Like I kind of stood by and like let my boys take it from there. Because Sour Patch, our philosophy was always dance to the music, but also pretty much like we didn't really want to look like anybody else, and so we would like take other inspirations from like be it yoga, capoeira, house, just different movements like that. And the founders of that were Edgar, which is his name's Soto. I think he's locked up right now, but yeah, he was one of the founders, and then also Tosh, and it was just more based on originality. Like back then, I hate to say it, but like a lot of crews, they just looked the same. They all just regurgitated moves, and you know, crews, they all had the same moves, same style, same up rock. So for us, it was just about creativity, originality, and from there on, they just kind of pushed that movement, and then like a lot of people caught on. We took influences from like Soul Control, Circle of Fire, Style Elements. That's all I got to say about that.
Is it like an all styles crew, or it's just like a breaking?
Not all styles crew. It's all, you know, dance, and like we competed a lot in b-boy competitions, and we find ourselves like when we would battle here, we didn't really feel ourselves growing. But like when we started traveling, we'd go to like Texas, and we'd start winning competitions, and like we started getting ourselves known. And like eventually, you know, we picked up this guy right here, this little red rat. Back then, at first they didn't want him in the crew, actually. I
know that.
But I pushed, and like maybe a year later, I was like, look, you know, this kid's dope. He's got mad potential. He respects us. You know, he's like, he'd be yeah, he's just, yeah. Ass. Yeah, so, you know, if it wasn't for him and Nomac, we probably would have died out a long time ago.
This one's for House. What was your reaction when you seen that style? And it wasn't like your traditional b-boy style.
Everybody's perspective is different of what. No, but seriously though, it's the way. I mean, I'm sure the way we saw it come in was different than it might have actually came in, or the way. For some reason, I remember them going to. I remember they were going to Texas for, and I think they battled having Coral, and that's what I remembered. Like, if you ask me the history of it, that's what I remember them going there, and they came back, and they like when they came back, they were completely different. Like their styles were all completely like something happened to them in Texas. I don't know what happened to them. Besides battling having Coral, it was like an up and coming crew, so it was like a big deal to go against those guys. They're still fresh, and it was to me honestly it bugs you out in a sense of like you're just not. You wonder like, okay, what's going on? Because and especially back there, everybody was rivals, so you didn't really talk to each other. So there was no communication like this. There was no. So we just all assumed everything about each other, and it was kind of to us. It was kind of like, you know, what happened in Texas, that these guys came back completely different, and especially, you know, with Thosh and Nomac and Edgar, like. The way they dressed was different. The way it was completely off of like what we were. You know, we were emulating at that time in the '90s. Fear Style School was emulating like the rock steady of that '90s, like with the Kennys and the Wiggles and the Honey Rockwells and like that era of people. That's who we were emulating. You know, we liked that flavor. We liked the way we were doing. So when this new and it wasn't even a style. It was just like these. There was nothing to call it. It was just like, yo, that's them. That's Sour Patch, and that's what they're doing. And so it just kind of questioned like, well, what's going on in their head that, like, well, why are they doing this is really the kind of the first thing. You know, and at the same time, you know, You can't lie. Like it's now challenging or questioning everything that I've been trying to emulate, everything I've been trying to do. The definition that I have as a b-boy, that challenged it automatically. Period. And as a b-boy, what do you do when you get challenged? You battle. So that's the way it was took. It wasn't gonna be go and talk. All right, this is something that's challenging what I believe in, what I stand for, the way I feel about things, whether it was right or wrong, it doesn't matter. But it was a challenge to that, and so of course we definitely, that was bumping heads. But and at the same time, it's just now you can see, after being around for a little bit, you see everything go in cycles, and you see the new. Now I understand things differently when the new styles come in, when circus style came in, now it's like, okay, this is the youth, this is what they're bringing in, this is what they're gonna put in. It's gonna cycle itself out, and then it's gonna get blended back into the b-boy tradition. But now they added something, so now I understand in a completely different way. Back then it was a challenge. Like, yo, you can't call yourself a b-boy because that's not what I know as a b-boys, and so it was that automatic challenge. And like I said, they were challenging everything from the way they moved to the way they looked. I remember, I think at a jam at a YMCA, maybe like the Double Trouble or something that Style Rock threw. I remember that's the first time that I kind of saw them like dressed completely bugged out, and I was just like, what? This kid, you all right? You need a hug? What's going on? And maybe that's part of what, but now, like I said, now it's really interesting because now I see it as like, oh, I can, people that have been around for a while, I can tell you the stages that we've all gone through growing. Like, we've all gone through our stages and our little own trends in our own kind of way. And I think I'm going way past the question, but yeah, that's how I felt.
I just want to say, like, that's what I loved about Arizona. Like, it was seeing foundation and like freedom, like colliding every fucking jam, and I was like, that's dope. And so we came up, I was like, let's do both, because that's what we see.
Yeah.
And like, I never seen that anywhere else in the world. Like, wherever I went, I was just like, nah, it didn't stimulate me. So when I seen that, I was like, yo, that's stimulating, I'm with that. Like,
and this is why I'm feeling like things like this are super important, and give it up to JoJo and everybody else that helped put this together. Super valuable. I got nothing but respect for Randy, but I would have never known that particular thing about him, or and how it comes up. So it's really good that we get a chance to communicate outside of just a cipher. But yeah, they definitely put people give Imperial Style School a lot of credit for putting Arizona on the map, but Sour Patch put Arizona on the map probably before us. Like, because of that style, because it was so completely different, and we were like, no, Arizona can't be known for that. That's weird. But it made us push harder. Like, no, we gotta push even harder, and it just goes like that. There'll be a new slew, like Power was a trend where everybody was doing 90 flares in a circle, and so it just comes and goes, and now you just ride it and keep. Just like these gentlemen here, they stuck to their guns and they did them. They stuck to what was them, and now we have nothing but the utmost respect for each other for that. Because no matter how you push each other, no, I'm gonna stick to me because this is me, and you're gonna stick to you because this is you. And now it's evolved to where it's at now. So yeah.
I just got a quick story to tell to elaborate on like how we used to butt heads back in the day. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember battling you at Pompeii.
Oh, snap.
Or Freedom. You know that.
Pompeii.
Anyways, there used to be a club right off of Apache and Rural. And I remember that's where I first got my first taste of house music, and that's where I fell in love with it. And it just grew from there. But like during that time, like yeah, we were pretty much rivals back then. And we hated each other's guts like crazy. And it was just like, I remember this specific battle. It was me versus him and his brother, Dino. Odin. Yeah. And we were battling, and like things got heated. And his brother didn't want to get out of the circle after his cipher, so after his round. So like he's just standing there, like he wouldn't get out. He's just like, I'm too dope. You can't go next. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker. So during that time, like I was just like, it occurred to me like this fool needs to get out of the fucking circle. So I just straight in the back. These two guys come and try to bum rush me. Both of them, these big ass security guards just done. Fucking got them tossed out the club. I was like, yes.
like this. I like this rivalry thing because as much as like we stuck to our guns as like trying to be different and whatnot, it was so funny because it came full circle for me as I got older, and it took me a long time to really appreciate how incredible someone like House is at what they do. House is one of the first people that really exemplified for me what the long game was in this, because trends come and go, and some people stick to their guns like me, but trends come and go, things go in waves, people filter out. Some of the greatest talents you've ever known will just stop dancing out of nowhere. House taught me about long game, and long game isn't winning every competition. It isn't doing like it's not defined by anything other than your love for this art and what you put back into it after you've received a lot. And he is one of the biggest people to do that and show me that in this game by opening places like Cyphers, by still being heavily involved in the dancing 100%, by repping Arizona nonstop his entire career. That's what long game is, and that's what I learned to appreciate, learned to understand. I'm not gonna make money off winning competitions, you know, forever. No one is. Your body's gonna give one day, you know, and then at the end of the day, when your body gives, you have to realize, what do I have to offer now? You know, I can't win these competitions, I can't fly through the air. Have I learned anything? Have I carried on any traits? Do I know how to teach? You know, am I reaching back? Am I helping the youth? Am I an educator? You know, and I think that's one of the things that he has taught not just me, but so many people in Arizona, and I think that is something amazing, and that's something that everybody should strive for in Arizona, in your personal dance careers, in your endeavors. Walk away with a trait, walk away with a love for this culture, and figure out what you're gonna do with that love, and not just selfishly trying to win every event and do this and this and that, make it in music videos, get paid, but what he's done. Because what he does, that's the kind of stuff that inspires me. Question over here with the hat.
The difference between like who you guys were when you started and now, and the like being able to look back in hindsight and see I don't know if I want to say the mistakes, but the things that you learned from then to now. What's something that you would like for the younger dancers, the newer dancers, to have access to, so they don't repeat your mistakes or your ways that maybe like...
I want them to repeat my mistakes. I want them to make every mistake.
Right, I mean, there's mistakes that like kick your ass and like they serve you.
Yeah.
Right, but like what are the things that you feel like you would want them to know as they're coming up in the game? Whether it's to make mistakes or whatever it is, like something to send to the dancers who are newer.
That's a difficult question. I think, you know what, Izzy surprises me, especially nowadays. And there's two different sides to this coin. I think what amazes me about Arizona right now is that everyone shows up for workshops, they take classes, they do this and this and that, and they come to places like this, and that's what's really important, is you guys showing up to things like this. It says a lot about you, to show up and to learn and to be open to that and to be receptive. But the other side of the coin too is that an older mentality would say that people need to be maybe less friendly and get called out more and have their card pulled more often. It doesn't mean it has to be crazy out of control, but you know, having your card pulled, testing who you are, stuff like that. I would say that's the flip side of that coin. I think the great side is that we are a great community, that everyone's very close. If everyone's ever like, oh, hey, you're here, and everybody knows each other, and it's fucking cheers everywhere we go. I think the argument on the flip side of that, it would be the fact that there isn't enough beef. That beef, the trouble, the stuff that I grew up with is what defined me. You know, don't be afraid to call somebody out. I'm not, but don't be afraid to call somebody out. And I think that's a lot of that aggression. But that aggression is like it's a self-journey too, figuring out what you want to do with this dance and how you're going to pursue it like that. But I think that would be the flip side to that. But other than that, I think Arizona's doing great as far as being educated, being open to events like this. That's it.
Word. Three things, and hopefully I don't forget them. Number one, I'm going to say mistakes is document. I have like zero documentation on myself. And if I had, you know, documentation for every time I hit a cipher, wow, right? Or, you know, so just document as much as you can, because you're not going to, and it's not about like remembering moves or nothing like that, but document it because it's going to be important. You don't even realize that it's important right now, but it's going to be important later on. You know, there's crazy things that right now, going back to school, I'm like discovering things that I'm like, oh, wow, that's important. I never paid attention to that, or maybe things that I didn't, you know, value. So value yourself and know that everything that you're doing is valuable. So in some sort of way, document it for yourself, whether you write something down or you know, now, stupid, right, everybody? That one, and then I'm gonna say, know why you're doing what you're doing, right? I know I'm sure I'm guilty. I was guilty of this at points where you kind of just did things because you saw the elders do it, you saw the people doing it, but you weren't really sure why you did it. And you would start saying the things that they were saying. Well, you gotta say Bboy because of this, but you know, I just don't regurgitate the way you shouldn't regurgitate moves. Don't regurgitate ideas and feelings and philosophies unless you know why you're saying it. Have a reason to say those things. You know, and really, because otherwise I find like. You know, and this happens with even a lot of like OGs or veterans or whatever. I hear them saying things and they don't really back them up the way they're saying. They don't really back up the things that they're saying. And so, you know why you're saying things, and if you're gonna, you know, especially if you're teaching or passing something on or sharing information with somebody else, then, you know, you should really be accountable for that kind of stuff, and be accountable that you're passing on that information for a reason, not just because you heard somebody else say it that you thought was awesome and cool, and then you said it, because then that makes me awesome and cool too. It doesn't. You know, and it's going to come back and bite you. You're going to feel really dumb when it does, because you're going to be like, oh, I just said it because I heard Crazy Legs say it, so, and he knows everything, so I should say it too. And like, you know what I mean? And I forgot the third one. There was going to be...
Travel.
Never mind.
The best one.
I forgot the third one, sorry.
Somatics. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, pretty much like what PA said. Like, I think like it's cool that we're all like, you know, everybody knows each other and we're all lovey-dovey and shit when we see each other. But without that aggression or yeah, pretty much like when I go to an event, it's just like I would like somebody to test me because I want to stay on my toes. And like with the community here, everybody, you know, it's ciphering, it's all fun, but like, but yeah, but without that element, like it's you're not growing as much or as fast as you can be. So that's all I gotta say.
So travel.
Travel,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was my sorry. So travel. And
Number 3, here we go.
Number 3.
With the bullet.
So that was my third one, is to not just travel, because I have been super blessed to been able to travel over the, you know, past few years, 2 decades. First I was November 5th to the 10th. But the thing that I kind of regret doing that I didn't do as much was I got to travel a lot, and I didn't, as much as if I could go back, I would go back on all those trips and make it a point to train with people in that city or that community, and I just didn't always do that because, oh, there's not enough time and I gotta go to this and I gotta go to, make the time to go somewhere, connect with whoever's in that community, whether they're super fresh or super not, like go and build with those people, hang out, and not just you know, break or not just dance, like go in session with them, go and break bread with them, right? Because that's really important, is, you know, breaking bread, right? Like just we're breaking bread right now. So do that when you travel. Make sure you travel. It's gonna help you grow. It's gonna, at least for myself, it still refreshes me every single time. When I travel, I come back hungry, and to me, it's that, you know, that philosophy of like, let me go learn what they're doing in that village over there, so I can bring it back to my village and be like, okay, you know how we're making those potatoes? Well, over there, they're making them potatoes way fresher than us. Come on. They put this extra and it's chorizo, right? And then we all eat. Okay, so make sure you travel and break bread.
I don't know what about them, but I heard you say like some people don't want to come here because we're so nice, and they don't want to battle because we're like nice here. But what's it like everywhere else? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are they just not nice to each other?
Rule. Stay home.
Wait, say that again? So you're
Like,
saying?
what is the community here? We're friendly, right?
Yeah, well, it's just a small
but what is
scene
it like
Okay, so.
elsewhere? Because I've never traveled elsewhere for like battles or anything like that.
It's definitely different. I mean, it's just, like he said, traveling and like just learning and going there and ciphering with those people. And sometimes, yeah, they'll pull your card and they'll want to see what you're about. And that's just, it's because you're new and they've never seen you before. They just want to see that. Here, like, you know, we don't get that much visitors, but when we do, I usually see this guy calling him out. And that's dope. So, but like, yeah.
You said like rivalries help you get better and stuff. So in Arizona, did was there a lot more rivalries than there are now? Like was there, like would you say there's like no beef at all anymore, or? Whatnot?
Seems that way to me.
Have you guys ever watched the movie The Warriors? Okay, so The Warriors. I was like, hold on. Everybody was your rival. You know what I mean? And a rival, and then what I feel like in Arizona, we take the battle essence in a weird way. People get like, nobody wants to offend each other. Nobody wants to hurt each other's feelings. You call somebody out, they're like, well, why did you call me out? Are you mad at me? Like, no. You know what I mean? It's the exact opposite of that. It's like I have to have some kind of respect for you, for me to battle you. I have to know that something's gonna come out of this, whether it's a lesson for the person I'm battling, or a lesson for me. It's stripes being earned. So everybody was your rival. Some people you were cool with, some people you weren't. But it was just like that. I mean, you walked into the jams and there was that crew, and everybody was gonna try to hold it down. You know, and I say Warriors because it's that thing like where every run is going to Coney Island. Every time you threw in a run, you have to pass. You have to pass, and it's a rite of passage. I mean, and it's earning that respect with each other. Do I think there's beefs now? Yeah, but I think people are, I don't know, they're like cowardly beefs, really. Because if you don't like me, don't like me. That's cool. I'm okay with that. Like not everybody's gonna like each other. That's fine. And if you think I'm whack and you think you're way fresher and you're gonna talk about it, then step to me. Call me out in a circle. You know what I mean? Don't talk about it with your buddies and say how whack I am. But you'll never step to me. I come to a circle, you walk away. So that, you know, so I think people, whatever, there's some kind of, you know, and like I said, the battling thing is the complete opposite of that. It's, you know, and we've heard it over and over again. I personally, like Crazy Legs will say it a lot of making the comparison to like kung fu flicks. I mean, like you travel to another city, right? I have the tiger style, and I heard that in this little city they got the snake style. So I heard the snake style is dope. But tiger style is the dopest because that's my style. So I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna test your style, and I want to see what goes down. You know what I mean? And then same thing. It's the same thing. You come back. Tiger style's the best. I said it's the best. You know what I mean? So it's just that, you know, and I think some people in here, you know, I've stepped to a few people in here, but. It's because I have a respect for you, and even it doesn't matter if you're younger or not as experienced, but I want to push you. There's cats that I'm like, you're fresh, so I'm gonna push you. Xavier gets it a lot, right? Maria would get it nonstop. I mean, tons of people, right? But I wouldn't do it if I didn't think if I thought you were like, and nobody's whack, but if I thought you were whack, some people are whack. I'm not gonna, and I, you know. Whatever, I sound like a jerk, but I'm not gonna waste my time. I mean, I want an exchange. I want to push you because you're young and you're fresh. You're gonna push me back. You're gonna give me something.